There's a scene in the movie Bedazzled where a skeptical Brendan Fraser is wondering about the first wish that he's been granted by the supernatural being. He doesn't believe it, so he wishes for a Big Mac. And the supernatural being, played by Elizabeth Hurley, proceeds to load him onto a public bus, take him to McDonald's, order him a Big Mac, and hand it to him. Not exactly the way that we think of wish fulfillment when we think of supernatural beings. Today I want to talk to you about two stories in my life, two true stories, that I hope will inspire you to think of a new way or a different way to create your desires, to have your desires come true in your life. After I tell the stories, I'll look at some of the elements that they have in common and see if there's a formula there that maybe we can apply and practice. So the first story was my niece. She was 8 years old, and she came to visit me in Sedona, Arizona, shortly after I moved there and got settled in. She, like I did, was growing up in Indiana, and I thought it would be a great experience for her to come out and see something new and a lovely opportunity for us to spend time together. So she had a school project for the upcoming school year. She was on summer break at the time. Her project was study the states, so she chose Arizona. And she had several things that she wanted to take pictures of and experience so that she would have a nice report for her project when she got back to school. One of the items on her list was a piece of turquoise. She wanted to get a piece of turquoise. So she came out, she had her little box of treasures that she was collecting, and I took her to a few of the rock shops around town to look at turquoise. And there were lots of pieces, but she was disappointed in the price. They were a little more than she had budgeted for. No worries, she was there all week, no rush, we'll find something. Well, a few days later, we were driving around Sedona, and of all the isom rocks in Sedona, the most beautiful is Cathedral Rock. And I pointed it out to her and I said, we're going to climb that rock. And it's huge. She said, no way, I can't do that. I was like, oh, you're going to love it. So we got our stuff together and we went to climb up Cathedral Rock. She loved it. She took off. Couldn't keep up with her. By the time we got up to the top, there were a few people up there. One of them was a hippie guy who was barefoot. He caught my attention because he had climbed up Cathedral Rock barefoot in the summer in Arizona. It's quite a feat. He had quite the feat. So Josh said hello to Christian. You don't often see little girls up there. Christian is my niece's name. And she was a little bit shy and taken aback. So I took her to some places I knew up at the top, and we enjoyed ourselves. When we came down, still up at the top of the rock, but down, she had an encounter with Josh. She came up to her and he said, I am guided to give you this. He reaches in his pocket and pulls out a piece of turquoise to give to her. And you should have seen the look on her face. She was blown away, as I think any of us would be, to have a wish come true in such a magical way in a magical place. Now, is she responsible for having made that wish come true? I think so. Not really so different than getting on the bus and going to McDonald's and getting your wish come true of a Big Mac. Next story. I traveled on the Camino de Santiago in Spain. I did this in the year 2000. It's a 500-mile pilgrimage route, and it's a backpack trip, so you're carrying everything you need, going from city to city or town to town, village to village, whatever the case may be. And so you're only carrying your absolute necessities. I had 2 pairs of socks on that trip. And after the end of the hiking day, you go to the place where you're staying and you do laundry. You hang things out to dry, you pack everything up the next morning and do it all again for about a month. One day, I woke up in one of the refugios, as they're called. They're like hostels for the pilgrims that are doing this thing. So bunk beds and people everywhere. I woke up to get ready for my day's hike, and I noticed that my bunkmate had left a sarong hanging on the bed. She must have been using it for privacy. And she was gone, and I thought, oh, what a tragedy. You know, you don't have that many things with you when you're doing a trip like that. To leave something behind is really a tragedy. So I got my things ready and I went on my way, and I was a good halfway between locations when I realized I forgot my hiking socks. I had left them to dry, and I remember hanging them on the bed, and I forgot them. I wasn't going to go back, I was just sad, but I proceeded on. When I got to the next location, the first thing I did was unpack my pack, lay everything out on the bed. The socks were not there. So I was so bummed out about this. There was really nowhere to buy socks, and one pair is not really enough for a trip like that. So before I went to bed that night, I wrote in my journal, I call forth a new pair of hiking socks. I went to bed, I woke up the next morning, getting ready to go hiking, and I am not kidding. On the very top of my pack, inside, but on the very top, were those hiking socks. It was a miracle. They weren't there, I can assure you, but suddenly they were there. I had my socks back. So again, a wonderful, magical way to have a wish fulfilled. So what do these stories have in common? Well, both of these stories happen to have travel in common. My niece was traveling to visit me in Arizona. It was a new place for her. She's a child as well, so she's got a bit more of a trusting, open mind. And I was traveling on my trip to the Camino de Santiago in Spain. And there's something about traveling where you're out of your element, everything's new. You're relaxed because you're on vacation, you're doing something that you wanted to do, and you're, I think, a little more mindful of things that are happening out of context of your regular routine. So I think those elements helped. What I've learned in my study of meditation is a bit of a formula that you can apply for making wishes come true. And the formula involves intention. That's the key thing, intention. My niece wanted a piece of turquoise. She was very clear about that. I wanted a new pair of hiking socks, or in this case, the old pair, to return to me. You need to state your intention vocally or in writing and make it very clear. The second thing is relaxation. You need to be relaxed. We can't always go to Sedona on the top of Cathedral Rock, or hike the Camino, or go on an extended vacation to have the magic happen. You can do it at home. You just have to relax, get out of the stress of your regular life. And the third ingredient is an awareness, to be aware of what's happening. Are you somehow preventing the thing that you want from making itself known in your life? How are your thoughts? How are your actions speaking towards meeting your intention? So those three things, intention, relaxation, and awareness, can help you make your dreams come true. Thank you.